It's Halloween at Fairmont Crest, and some conversations, haunting or heralding, need to be had. What's good, y'all? This is Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Beyond the Gates video. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my Beyond the Gates content and conversations. And this was a fun little themed episode. This episode was interesting to me in that it's Halloween theme, is that it reminded me how we don't get as many themed episodes anymore in television. With television shows, when we were just basically doing like cable and premium cable, we used to get Christmas episodes, Thanksgiving episodes, Halloween episodes, Easter episodes, all types of themes, also based on our natural calendars, which also provided additional opportunities, a little bit more fun when it comes to the storytelling element of these shows. But nowadays we don't actually get to see this as consistently, and while it didn't make for a huge shake or difference in the story being told, I actually enjoyed it. So there's a few conversations that happen in this episode, which I'm going to go ahead and dub a continuing to build and laying the groundwork for something big to come later on episode, because we have like three major conversations happen. The conversation around Samantha, her virginity, and her unrelentingness to try to give it away to the most loser of loser boys that she could possibly find in her school, and all of the people tied to that. It's her having a conversation with Smitty and Martin, her also having a conversation with Nicole, and then also the conversation being had about her with Tyrell and Jessica down at Orphe Jeans when they run into the loser himself. But then we also get to have Vernon and Nicole having a conversation, and then Vernon gets to impart words of wisdom and a little bit of advice on how Nicole is navigating her new romantic season. And then we get to see Ted and Dana connect on a different level, and I'm going to really dive a little bit deep into each of those conversations, because while on the surface it seems like it wasn't that much, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there's a good amount of things working. I think the most surface of the conversations that were had in this episode is probably the Andre, Derek, and Ashley one, which is probably why I just forgot for a second that it happened, and I just remember while I was talking about this, like, oh wait, that was also a conversation. But it was more for them to keep strumming that guitar of like the will they won't they, without as much of the tension and angst. Like, we only got the initial with Andre, we got the initial surprise of like, wait, did y'all decide to get married now? Do I need to say congratulations? And it's like, no, they just decided that to be the costume, and it's something that Derek came up with. But more so, this conversation or the scenes with them is setting the groundwork for Ashley's not going to marry this man. She's not going to make it down the aisle, because towards the end of their conversation and their back and forth, Derek is trying to settle on a date, and Ashley is like damn near breaking out in hives, trying to run from confirming or agreeing to a date. Every date has a problem. Every date has an issue. And that to me tells me all that we need to know. But I already know that this girl's not getting down the aisle. What is interesting, which I don't actually understand, so y'all can explain to me in the comment section. There's a moment before Andre leaves and Derek gets to talking in Spanish. They're communicating in Spanish or whatever, because Derek and Ashley go to Ashley and Andrea's little Halloween party. And thank God Andre didn't go. Ashley's like, well, you should have been there because you... Girl, ma'am, please. This tie's really finna be severed. Y'all need to relax. But in that whole little exchange tied to the like Spanish speaking, Andre finds out that Derek is going to be taking Ashley to Spain, and he's like, well, why not Paris, or what happened to Paris? But we don't really get an answer, and I'm just like, who gives a damn about this girl going anywhere? Like, why are we like hyper focusing? And it feels like that's supposed to be a thing without them giving us all of the meat and potatoes of like why it's supposed to be a thing. Andre doesn't give the most emotional reaction as I kind of expected for them to be like, oh, Derek is deviating from your plan. I don't know if they were trying to like make it, oh, Andre still feels drawn to take this girl to Paris, even because again, it doesn't feel like that. Before he leaves, he's like talking to Derek of like, you know, you focus on your bride, I'm gonna go deal with mine. I'm gonna go focus on mine. He seems very committed to Dani and not swaying in that regard, in the way that we have seen his eyes wandering. We've seen him like slowly or kind of like being pulled by a visible line back to Ashley. It doesn't feel like that in this moment, but then they have that dialogue and it's like, okay, that's what that dialogue feels like it's supposed to be setting up. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that whole little Spanish exchange. It was weird. Again, to me, this was the most surface conversation of the whole show. And it's all for setting up the Ashley is not going to marry this man storyline, and there's certain red flags that Derek should be seeing, and this is one of them. But also Derek is also a walking red flag. He tries to get a little bit of advice from Andre, and Andre's like, well, you're too good of a guy, you're not going to actually lose her. And I think this is when Derek is starting a part of his journey of like wondering if him holding back the secret about him getting feeling back in his legs and potentially being able to walk again from Ashley, if it could be the thing that drives him away. And of course he's not going to reveal that to Andre while he's also trying to get advice. Anyway, that whole exchange happened. Again, to me, most surface conversation that is had. The conversation with Samantha and her virginity, I don't even understand this long leash that they put her on, because if you grounded, why are you sitting in the living room getting on our nerves? Why are you now ruining all of our Halloween? Even though I don't really celebrate Halloween in real life, but why are you ruining everybody's Halloween just because you decided to make some very irresponsible decisions? You're trying to throw that cookie at this loser boy who can't wait to run your name through the mud, can't wait to disrespect you, who don't care about you, and we can all see it and you can't, and now you're making that all our problems. You're talking about you want to move in with Nicole. You're talking about this is one of two that you have left, and they are ruining. No, decisions have actions have consequences, and this happens to be one of them. Girl, please. But they're allowing her to. So the rope that they have given her is very long. They are, and when I say they are, it's Martin and Smitty. They're going back and forth with her up until they agree to let her go talk to somebody else, and that somebody else is Nicole, which is how they ended up at Nicole's house. And they start to have a good conversation. And as a great grandmother, but also as a therapist, Nicole is talking her through her thoughts and her feelings around this boy, getting greater context of like she don't actually know this boy. She hasn't spent a lot of time with this boy, and trying to get Samantha to come to a place of realizing the gravity of the act that she is trying to do, because she's treating it like it doesn't really matter, like losing your virginity is not that big of a deal. And I love this particularly because I think that this is the sentiment of most young people today. When I was growing up, losing your virginity was a big damn deal, and for myself, for family members, for friends, there was like internal conversations. There was time given and thought to who would actually be the person to take your virginity. Like I had an idea of who it would be, and it would be a different person. It wound up being a different person, but that different person still meant a lot to me at the time, and it was like a whole thing. And I know like I used to have conversations with my homegirls at the time of like what we wanted it to be for us. So I think that with the Samantha storyline and making her so apathetic to this act, and her looking at it like it's more of a to-do list, and she's just trying to move through the checkpoints of life of like what are things that's supposed to show your progression into adulthood because you want to be more grown than you are. I think that this is a authentic way to tell this story, and again is very indicative of the times. So the conversation points, and specifically in how Nicole positions her conversation points to counteract Samantha's thoughts, is perfect, because maybe there are young people who are watching this with their parents, or young people who are watching this alone, and now they can start to consider these things because they're introduced by Nicole to Samantha, and it also applies to them. This is one of the things that I love about storytelling in general, whether that's on TV or in films or in books, is when you run into a character that's experiencing something that you could possibly be experiencing. It makes for a wonderful opportunity for you to explore a different thought process, a different option, for you to have a conversation about the thing without actually having a conversation, especially if you don't feel like you have people you can talk to. You might not feel like you can trust certain people around you, or if you're a person who think you know more than any and everybody around you, and you see something come up on a show that's just like you in your life, or you see something come up in a book, and it just pushes you in a position to think about things a little bit more fully and see all of the options available. And I just really love that. Like I got this warm feeling in my heart while watching Nicole and Samantha talk about this, and I'm like, this is great. This is a little segment that needs to be saved. Maybe, years from now, Erica has a teenager and she's struggling, and if mine is like this, I'm gonna play this scene first before I get to knocking his around, because Samantha is so infuriating to me. How she's so hell-bent on this loser guy getting her virginity pisses me off so bad, and it's a great to me spotlight of like where my area of weakness is, because I'm gonna talk to you, but if you're still bending over backwards doing all of the things that Samantha is doing to try to circumvent people protecting you, girl, bye. But anyway, so we get that conversation, love it. And then simultaneously while that is happening, Tyrell is down at Orpheus fighting for his sister's honor because he overhears old loser boy talking big cash about how Samantha's throwing her virginity at him, as he should. And baby, when I tell you I was not rooting for nobody else more this whole show to hit somebody than I was rooting for Tyrell to hit this boy. But the fact that he didn't make him so much more powerful, the fact that he didn't make him so much more strong, the fact that he didn't knocked him up even more rungs in my book. Like, Tyrell is such an incredible young man, and I love that he maintained his poise, he maintained his position, he maintained his conviction, and while he didn't rush to violence or default to violence, he still showed himself to be a formidable competitor, and he was not taking no off of this boy. And so much so that he didn't even need to swing on him to get Loser Boy out of his face, and to get Loser Boy to understand that he's not to be trifled with. Point blank, period. And then he had his girl right there to see it all, and it's like, yes, see, Jessica, you picked a good one. I love this for y'all. And even the storytelling that's happening with the two kids simultaneously, right? Like, they both have love interests. Tyrell is a year older than Samantha, so technically he's supposed to be a little bit more advanced. But to see how careful, how considerate, how intentional he is moving with Jessica as compared to how reckless Samantha is moving, like, I think that they're using the kids really great to tell two different adolescent stories, but to do so very beautifully and authentically. But one thing I will say, there's little moments with Tyrell. It's like, sir, when Jessica starts to talk about like him, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna say it slow and I'm gonna say it out loud so that you get it. I want to spend a long time with you. And that boy turned around and said, why? I said, Tyrell, please, I need you to move out of your insecure bag when it comes to this girl particularly, which is interesting because he's only like this with her. He is so confident and so poised and so controlled with every and anything else. But when it comes to her, this boy literally said, why? Sir, because you're incredible, please. So cute. But that's the whole Samantha of it all. She also leaks while she's talking to Nicole that Kat is how she got the idea to move forward sexually as rapidly as she did. And Smitty overhears in that moment because he's eavesdropping as eavesdroppers do. But I'm not even mad because Smitty's like not taking it. He's like, oh, okay, bet I'm gonna go talk to my sister, because absolutely not. And then it comes out, it's forced to come out that like she just overheard them. So we are still going to see a run-in with Martin and Kat, but it's going to be less of like you told her to go do this thing versus you were having these grown-up conversations without proper context to my impressionable daughter, and you impressed upon her that she needs to throw that cookie, and I'm mad about it. And I don't fault Martin for it. Like, it needs to happen. Okay. The other conversations of the two important conversations, one, because Loser and Loser Rat are down at the Uptown talking, which I'm gonna get into, but I'm gonna go to Vernon and Anita first, because I actually didn't realize how much I needed them to communicate with one another, and specifically for her to get advice as it pertains to her romance from her dad without it feeling like, oh, dad, please help me. They are connecting, and Vernon is here because typically Nicole and Ted do a big thing, and Ted turns the house into this amazing place and does decorations, and they do couples costumes, and it's a thing for them within their relationship. And because Vernon knows that that's a thing that she typically does with Ted, I'm sorry if y'all can hear any noise, I'm like traveling and trying to record in the bathroom right now, but he shows up for his daughter because he understands that this could be a tough time for him or for her. First of all, love that down, the emotional intelligence and the awareness for the daughter that you know that you connect with the most. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you your 10s, Vernon. But in that, they get to talking about Nicole and dating. Nicole tells him how she put the brakes on what's happening with her and Carlton. She explains about the run-in between him and Ted. And Vernon thinks that it's not that he got into it with Ted. It's that he thinks that Nicole is actually developing real feelings, that she's not expected to do so quickly and with this particular person. And while it's not as clean as she would have liked, she is probably putting the brakes on it because she doesn't want to offer herself up in a way that will end her up where she is currently. So she really does have feelings for Carlton, greater feelings than she's willing to admit. And because she has those greater feelings, then she's in a position to now allow Carlton to do to her what Ted has done to her. And she's worried about that. And she don't deny it. In her little therapist way, she literally don't deny it. And again, I didn't realize I needed them to have this conversation, because what she said to Carlton last episode, I kind of was with. I was like, okay, you want to spend some time alone? I never even thought about... I thought all of it's a part of the self-protection, right? But I didn't think of how big of a force her feeling like she can't trust herself to trust another man was playing into this. And it's not until Vernon says it that I'm like, oh yeah, this feels more like this. It doesn't actually feel like you need to go into this single season, as you say. And I know we by default tend to say once people break up, oh, you need to be single. No, Ted needs to be single. I don't actually think that Nicole needs to be single in the ways that she thinks, because she did her best. She tried. She did put her trust and faith, as she should. She did everything that she was supposed to do within her marriage, and her husband operated outside of the paradigms, the expectations, the rules, and all of the constructs that they set in place and agreed to for their marriage. So I don't think that she should be punishing herself now that that marriage did not work out, now that that person proved to not be who she thought they were, as it pertains to this marriage. And I think that Nicole might be beating herself up more than she should be. But it's also hard, because once you put your trust in somebody, you do start to take on a certain level of like, I brought this on myself, or I did this because I shouldn't have never trusted this person, when at the end of the day, this is going to happen. Betrayal is going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen regardless of who it is that you love and who it is that you trust. That's romantic, that's familial, that's whomever, right? So I'm actually here for her to take the brakes off when it comes to Carlton, and her to figure her way out of or through this rebound phase with him, because it feels like Carlton isn't a person who is trying to push her into certain expectations that he has. Even like, he is literally following her lead, going at the pace that she sets for the most part. And it's only been in the most recent episodes, even with his choices to be more assertive in the space that he is now, it's because it's kind of like those situations call for it. I think he has great situational awareness, and he is truly, again, following Nicole's lead. So he could be the perfect partner in reference to safe to explore what this looks like without her having to relegate herself to being by herself for a designated period of time to like get over Ted or get through this. So I loved it. I'm like, okay, Vernon. Now, it's episodes like this that reinforce how great Vernon is, how pulled together he is, even with the like defending of Nicole when Leslie comes in, which is, I don't even understand how this lady can still get access to Nicole's house. Like, what is going on? I know they say that like, oh, the trick-or-treaters, she came in behind some trick-or-treaters or something like that, and that's how she gained access. But like, her just walking in is still a problem for me, and it's going to be a problem, but whatever. But him like, I'm going as a fed up father that's ready to call the police. It's like, I love it. I love this Vernon, and I love who you are. But I'm also reminded to like previous episodes, and I'm thinking that there's still something in the works behind the scenes that's going to come out about Vernon. So while I'm like bigging him up and like, oh, he's such a great man, I'm like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to Vernon and Dupree. I just want to go ahead and remind y'all, because they think they slick, they be playing a long game with some of the storytelling, and then something else pop up, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, I've been paying attention this whole time. Okay, cool. The most problematic conversation of this whole episode: Ted and Leslie and Ted. Leslie is dressed as an angel for Halloween. Exactly. Go in Halloween, you simply dress up as something that you're not. You're completely not, because you are a demon. And I love that the reference was made to like angels fall, because who fell from heaven? Who was an angel before? The damn devil. And that's who the hell you are, Leslie. But what was so problematic about the conversation between Ted and Leslie wasn't him asking her, well, how was Nicole since you seen her? You're asking your mistress, how is your ex-wife? Ted, you're pathetic. But that's not even it. It's the maybe we can be friends, the going down memory lane, to recounting how you were able to connect with her and talk for hours, while also understanding that she's a murderous, you know what. Like, there's a moment where she's talking about how generous she is, and she used to own a motorcycle jacket, but she donated it. We know what happened with that. And then right behind that, Ted is like, your only level of generosity is tied to your murderous tendencies. So you're also acknowledging that she attempted to unalive Laura, but we're going to stand here and say, maybe we can get to a place of being friends. Maybe y'all can get to a place of being friends. You pointed out that her mission is accomplished of destroying your life, but you still want to be this lady friend. You want to still be in Uptown, buying her drakes, connecting with her. But you so heartbroken about your wife. So then what happens if Nicole decides to take you back tomorrow? What happens with your new friend? Because you are doing more. You're expending more energy, more conversation, more effort in connecting with your ex-mistress and or current mistress than you are in actually reclaiming your damn marriage, but you want people to believe that you want your marriage back. Like, this is the type of stuff that's going to get me to like never understand Ted or never be on his side, because why would you ever be seeking out a friendship with a woman who was sent in like a nuclear bomb to completely lay waste to your entire life and world that you built? And she did it on purpose, and she did it with the understanding that she could live in the wasteland because she preferred it that way. And if she can't have you, nobody can have you. And now you're trying to find commonality. Now you're trying to find mutuality. Now you're trying to find friendship in this person. And the conversation just flowed, and it just connected. And she makes no qualms about actually wanting you, still wanting you, telling you to stop worrying about Nicole because Nicole ain't worried about you, but she is. And y'all have this back and forth of like, she's trying to figure out why you're still chasing somebody that don't want you. And then you say that to her. But the tea is, Ted, she can still sense that you do want her. That's the problem. You do want her. And I had a conversation with my aunt earlier, y'all. And we were talking, and she brought up something. I'm like, I never even thought about it like that. But she said that she thinks that Ted would have left Nicole if she wouldn't have got pregnant with Kat at the time, and he would have been with Leslie. I offer that up to y'all. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm not going to write too hard into this conversation, but it was so inappropriate. It was so problematic. And this is what's going to keep Ted at the top of my loser and list. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. It's your good sis, you love Talk TV with, and I'll see you in the next one.